Hi guys. So today I have my mic clipped, so hopefully that helps with distractions, but I want to talk to you guys about the Illuminati situation. I've been following the situation and listening to what other creators have to say about it, and I think that I have my final opinion on this, so I want to share it with you guys. Now, FYI and spoiler alert, I have my notes here and I want to hit on the high points because what I've noticed with some of the other videos that I've watched is there is a ton of like he said, she said kind of stuff. With situations like that where it's just, okay, he said one thing, she said this, he said that, it's tough as a commentary channel to really dissect that and come up with a really firm conclusion. So some of that stuff I'm going to leave out of my video, but if you guys are interested in all of the nitty-gritty, it's all over YouTube. You can very easily locate it if you haven't already. But either way, yeah, so I'm sure a lot of you guys know who Illuminati is, and her name is Blair. She does use her name, you know, sometimes, so I'm just going to refer to her as Blair, but her channel name is Illuminaughtii, and as of filming this video, she has 1.59 million subscribers, which is a huge channel, and I subscribed to her a couple years ago. It hasn't been super long, but she used to do a lot of anti-MLM content, and some of you guys that have been around for a while, I'm sure you'll remember that I was covering anti-MLM there for a while, and at a certain point, I kind of felt like it was becoming a little bit too repetitive, and in my personal opinion, there's only so much info that's out there about MLMs that will make somebody either join one or not join one. And at this point, I've kind of taken a break from it. I might pick it up again one day, I'm not sure. But that is how I found her, and I really liked her, the style in which she would break down stuff. She wasn't one of these, you know, channels that was here to do like snarky stuff and make fun of people. And you guys know that's just not my style. But I like the way that she would create her anti-MLM stuff. On top of her anti-MLM stuff, she also would go over a lot of like deceptive business practices and talk about kind of more like long form commentary and documentary style videos. And she's a great person to like, you know, throw on and just listen to what she has to say. If you want to watch, fine. If not, that's fine too. But I like, sometimes I like having some longer form creators in my subscription feed because, let's be real, sometimes you want to, you know, watch an hour-long video. Sometimes you want to watch a 12-minute long video, and she definitely kind of filled that space for me for longer form informative content on subjects that I covered myself and other subjects that I was just generally interested in. Now, on April 20th, that's when this entire situation kicked off, and I'm going to read the tweets that kind of went back and forth. She started everything, like I said, on April 20th and said, "Not Legal Eagle," and she tagged Legal Eagle, which is important because he ended up responding. But she said, "Not Legal Eagle editors broaching my editors to take my video's style. And when they didn't give up the info, they literally copied it. And by the way, I have the messages from my editors and found an email from them too. They just changed the color from purple to blue. Huh, interesting." And that was her tweet. I'm sure some of you guys are wondering, what in the world are they asking for and why is Blair so upset? Danny, who is the editor for the channel Legal Eagle, said, "Hey Blair, I work as an editor for Legal Eagle, and I was wondering if there was some After Effects plugin you guys used for things like the intro to the first NFL video where the lighter colors appear to stick out in 3D. We could recreate it, but we figured there was probably a faster method you guys were using. Here's the video I'm talking about, just so you know what I mean. Thanks, Danny." Now I want to talk about this exchange for just a minute because YouTube is a collaborative space and creators take inspiration and ideas from one another all of the time. Anti-MLM, Blair didn't create being anti-MLM and making videos about it. I hear this a lot, and I guess because I'm in the commentary space, I hear it more than maybe some other YouTubers do. But I'll talk about something, and someone says, oh, you're copying so-and-so. Commentary channels and YouTubers alike are going to cover the same topic sometimes. Channels that cover celebrity gossip are going to cover the same celebrity news within days or maybe even weeks of each other. And people who make anti-MLM, they're going to talk about the same tea or whatever is going on maybe within a few days of one another. Just because you talk about the same things doesn't mean that you're copying one another. It just means that that person has the same interest in whatever it is that they're talking about. And I've had people talk about things after I've talked about them. But you don't see me running up on my channel or ranting on Instagram about so-and-so's copying me, they're taking all my ideas. I think if we're all talking about the same thing, then that means that, hey, maybe it's interesting, entertaining, important, a conversation starter. I'm not going to cry about it. I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, well, I talked about it, blah, 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 blah. People have talked about the same stuff that I've talked about. I've talked about the same stuff other people have talked about. That's just YouTube. You know, we're all trying to, I guess, build our own channels, build our own audiences. And if you talk about the same stuff, if you have a similar delivery style as somebody, if you use a similar font or the same font, or your thumbnails look similar, I don't know, we're all just doing our best. But either way, now instead of Blair recognizing that maybe I opened a can of worms that I shouldn't have opened, she doubles down. She essentially shows this whole idea of highlighting text within a video, and I've seen that done on documentaries that I've watched on channels like ID or, TLC, whoever, and of course on YouTube too. Highlighting text and having an effect where the top of the screen looks like it's a ripped piece of paper with a color to add contrast is not anything special. I hate to break it to Blair and anyone else who thinks that these really simple ideas are theirs and it's one of a kind. It's nothing special. It's not groundbreaking. And main networks on TV have used things like this. YouTubers have used things like this. If you think that highlighting text on a screen or adding a header on your video with a ripped piece of paper and a color to contrast it is so special, I think you have a few things to learn in life. And let's remember that most people that edit content have access to these plugins. So it's not something that Blair created on her own, and this is her thing. If you're an editor, you have access to plugins. It's not that special. She's not special. It's not that special. I don't understand why she even started all of this, because by her starting this on April 20th with the tweet that I read, opened a whole can of issues for her. That's when people started coming out, giving their opinions about working with her, former people that she had collaborated with, subscribers started doing their own research, and she started it. So Legal Eagle decides to respond, and he said, hey, Illuminati, and he tagged her just like she had tagged him, and said, I think this is a big misunderstanding. Perhaps great minds think alike. No one on my team is trying to copy you. Without an exhaustive review of your channel, I believe we used the two styles before your channel did. We have used them for 3 to 4 years. I think that's a fair response. This should have never started, but it should have certainly ended here. Legal Eagle also referenced Danny is also a freelancer who makes his own videos. In the Discord, the video he referenced was about being inspired by your subject matter, not your style. He is a fan of yours. The video he was referencing was a video of his own, not a Legal Eagle video. And he lastly said, YouTube is great because it's collaborative and the rising tide raises all ships. My team and I always try to provide original, high-quality, informative content. We try to help others when they ask for it. There aren't really any trade secrets around here. And I've had the same outlook. Not that I've had a lot of people ask me for advice because, my God, you know, I know that people are going to be like, oh my God, she thinks she's so important. I have had a few people, though, come to me on Instagram or an email and say, I'm thinking about starting a YouTube channel. What are your thoughts on this? Do you have any tips, any ideas, so on and so forth? And I like talking to people about that kind of stuff. I feel like I'm in awe that people would even want my advice because I am a tiny fish in a sea of really amazing creators. So if somebody wants advice from me, I will happily give it. Now, you know, am I going to give you like a 10-page essay of every single thing that I know and every single thing that I've done? No, of course not. But I realize that the idea of starting a YouTube channel can be really overwhelming. And if you have a few tips early on that could kind of stay in your back pocket for if and when you need them, I'm more than happy to provide that. And I am so grateful that anybody would come to me. But you have YouTubers who have big channels and they think that people are after them, people are copying them, someone's trying to steal my subscribers. Like, it's all just so stupid. And it's just an ego competition with some of these bigger YouTubers. Not all of them, but some. After Legal Eagle, you know, came out and made statements, Blair recognized finally that she had messed up by starting this whole thing. She did send a private apology to Legal Eagle and then afterwards shared it with social media so everybody knew that she apologized. I think it's good that she apologized. I don't think it's good that she doubled down early on, but at the end of the day, she did apologize. Legal Eagle accepted her apology, and that is what actually matters. But this entire situation, like I said earlier, opened a whole can of worms for Blair, and that's when we get into H Bomber Guy, who is an account on Twitter, came out and said that Blair was plagiarizing because of a documentary that she put out, and she was copying word for word another documentary. I will include a little clip of that so that you guys have it for context.
H Bomber Guy, who probably is one of, if not the biggest leftist video essay channel, and he made a tweet showing what looks like some actual plagiarism from one of Blair's videos. He placed some clips side by side from one of her videos and an older documentary, and it seems like it's verbatim the same exact thing, right?
Professor Hugh Fudenberg.
Professor Fudenberg has long been controversial.
A man named Hugh Fudenberg, a former immunologist who has been long controversial.
In 1989, he was caught up in a bizarre lawsuit involving the Food and Drug Administration, which told him he had to stop injecting his autistic child patients with blood products.
In 1989, he was caught up in a bizarre lawsuit with the Food and Drug Administration, which told him he had to stop injecting his autistic patients with blood products.
Then in 1995, he was suspended from practicing medicine and made to pay a $10,000 fine for his misuse and misprescribing of controlled drugs.
Then in 1995, he was suspended from practicing medicine and made to pay a $10,000 fine for his misuse of prescribing controlled drugs.
Now, Blair does have writers on her team, so I know I've seen a few people with the opinion of maybe it was her writers and she didn't catch the mistake. At the end of the day, if you have writers or assistants or editors, it's still your channel. So if you're going to pay these people to write a script, edit a video, design a thumbnail, all of that, I understand that a lot of big YouTubers do that. But at the end of the day, it is still your face, your name, your brand that's actually on your channel. So things should be vetted. They should be reviewed, in my opinion, of course. You know, do whatever you want. But at the end of the day, if you're called out for plagiarizing, which is a really heavy claim to make, you should be fully well aware of maybe this is something that I didn't catch that I should have caught. Now, in a recent video, Blair has responded to kind of everything that has been circulating. It's a whole lot, but let's hit on the high points, like I said. So in the beginning of the video, she addresses the H-bomber guy situation with the plagiarism. She does define what plagiarism is for anyone listening to the video.
Personally, at Illuminaughtii, I would define plagiarism as something a bit more specific. For example, copying someone else's documentary directly into your script. End quote. However, in his own video, he shows where I'm audibly quoting a direct line from the documentary, and even visually you can see it on the screen with the quotation marks. Additionally, you can even see the dual ellipses on either end of that quote, indicating that more of that source was being cited. When you go to my sourcing page for this particular episode, you can also see that the documentary is listed as a source. It has been 3 years since I posted this episode, and I've been really grateful to be able to continually learn and grow with time. Since then, I've learned to be much more overt and obvious with citations, something that may not have been perfectly clear to me 3 years ago. I apologize for the oversight of not making that quote more clear. At the time of recording, it was really obvious to me that it was a citation of the documentary, especially in full context of that section of my video, because that section was wholly dedicated to Brian Deer's work. And for some clarification, I would like to provide both you and Harris with the script that I was working off of. It will be available in the Google Drive. While I believe emphasizing the key phrase of the quote about stopping injections on autistic children was, and still is, very important to point out, the quote should have been fully displayed on screen. This was certainly a poor editing choice, and it's an editing style that I no longer utilize, but it's most certainly not plagiarism. But with that being said, I still want to take accountability where it's needed, so I still would like to apologize for the citation not being made more clear visually in that video. Harris, I am also someone who takes plagiarism seriously, and I do see where your criticism comes from, but unfortunately, this was simply an oversight on an editing error, but not an act of plagiarism. To me, at the time of the recording, the entire section was very obviously a citation, even as seen in the script. There was a visual change to break up the many words that would otherwise be just chunked onto the screen, which, looking back at it, despite not being so visually appealing to have tons of words on the screen, this should have been an opportunity to provide that full quote to avoid any confusion like this whatsoever. Based on the definition of the word plagiarism, his claims are simply false. Not only is the source quoted on screen, it's also cited in the sources list, which again, I will provide in the Google Drive. As a more seasoned video essayist now, I've been lucky that I'm able to continue learning how to showcase facts and other relevant materials in an interesting and educational way. And I'm really excited that I get to continue doing that.
She does also say that she has learned a lot from when that video was, and granted that video was 3 years old. I know that documentary really upset a lot of people, and it called her credibility into question, and kind of, you know, how much research is she doing into this? Is she just copying from other people and hoping that it doesn't get brought to light? I'm glad that she acknowledged it. I don't think that she fully explained herself with that situation, but at the same time, I also realized that it was 3 years ago, and there hasn't been anything recent that has happened like that. So I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. I hope that she has done better. If something more recent does come to light where it's shown that she is still literally copying word for word what someone else has had in their video, then I think that it will obviously be a discussion point. But for now, I do hope that she does better, because plagiarizing is not okay, ever. Don't care like how big your channel is, how little your channel is, what the content is about. If you're plagiarizing, you're literally going nowhere, my opinion. Now, along with a lot of followers and subscribers saying that Blair is unable to take any constructive criticism, there was also an old collab group that she was a part of called Sad Milk. A few of those members have come out to share their experiences working with Blair as a collaboration group, and a lot of people have had the same opinion. She doesn't know how to take criticism, she will lash out at people, she has anger problems, and my stance on this is, as I said in the beginning of the video, it's a lot of he said, she said. I didn't like her, she didn't like this person, so-and-so got upset. It's hard for me to come out with a definitive opinion on this just because it's people sharing their opinions and they are entitled to that. It was their experience working with her, and unlike with the Cruel World Happy Minds situation, there were like limited screenshots, it was just people's experiences working with her. Now, the primary issue that most people walked away with after watching Blair's video is that she included in her video a really deeply personal situation that one of her former friends went through while struggling with their mental health. This should have not only not been discussed with anyone because it was something that your friend trusted you with, it should have never been a part of a YouTube video. It should have never been a part of my reputation is being called into question, so let me go ahead and include this in the video where I'm responding to criticism. It should have never left her and the friend that it happened to, even if it's a former friend. I have former friends. I would never air out what they've told me, especially when it comes to their mental health, their quality of life, you know, what they're struggling with. I don't know. I don't think that that should have been a part of the video. I'm not going to elaborate on it, but I'm sure anyone who has seen the video knows exactly what I'm talking about. That should have never been included in the video. You don't talk about what somebody else confided in you regarding their state of mind, their mental health, mental illness, and a really serious and devastating time in their life. Now, the last thing I want to talk about in this video before I close it out is the fact that I'm seeing a lot of people call Blair a creep show art 2.0. And I don't think that this is a creep show art 2.0 simply because the situation last year with creep show was so complex, it was so dark, it was so serious, it was so heartbreaking for those people involved. I don't think that this is that. I think that people are sharing their experiences, and maybe Blair does have some anger issues and, you know, things along those lines, but I don't think that Blair is comparable to Creepshow. Now, I will sporadically still watch her videos if it's something that I'm interested in, but I will definitely be keeping an eye out to see kind of what's uncovered. If she's exposed again for, you know, plagiarism, lying, doing all this kind of stuff, problematic, like, I'm done. And of course I'll make an update video, but it is very interesting that all of this started because Blair wanted to say that a literal attorney was copying her. And the thing that she was alleging he was copying wasn't even one of a kind. So all of this happened from a simple tweet that should have never been published, but either way, here we are. So tell me how you guys feel. I hope I broke this down and hit the kind of high points. A lot of moving pieces. I'll link some other longer videos in my description box in case you guys want to dive in and watch any other videos, but that's going to be it for now. So if you like the video, please leave a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.